Hello, my name is Caroline, but today you're going to know me as Cleo, your muse of history, as we uncover the truths of myths, legends, and folklores. Who doesn't love tales of mysterious women with mystical powers living in bodies of water? I mean, come on. I really hope you've enjoyed the satisfying genre of myth as much as I do as we reach the end of our 3-part miniseries. So for the final part, let's dive into the twisting history of the mermaid. Mermaids could arguably be one of the most popular myths, right up there with the unicorn. Filling our popular culture, mermaids have been seen across television, film, and novels for decades. Their ethereal nature always drawing in writers. However, mermaids, in my opinion, seem to be more of a celebrity at this point than a myth. Everybody loves them, but no one really seems to know them. If you ask somebody what is a mermaid, they can tell you it's half fish, half woman. But that's about all they could say. Atargatis, and forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, was believed to be the chief goddess among northern Syrian mythology, and she resided mainly over fertility. As the story goes, she fell in love with a shepherd boy, and when they, did the deed, they killed him. But she was left pregnant with his child. She fell into a deep depression until her daughter was born, whom she delivered on the shore of a beach. She then walked into the waves, attempting to drown herself. But the other gods wouldn't let her. It said her beauty was too overwhelming, and that's why they wouldn't let her die. And so they made her this half fish, half woman, and she was then the goddess of the sea. And thus the first mermaid was born. Mermaids can often tell you how a culture felt about the ocean centuries ago. These stories were sorts of omens, but depending on the country, they could be good or bad. The Greeks and British regard mermaids as these evil, terrifying creatures who would lure men to these deaths, and you should avoid those waters at all costs lest you be damned. However, in Irish and Asian folklore, like Chinese or 1001 Nights, we see talk of mermaids with a type of reverence. In Irish folklore, they were believed to be gentle creatures, and in Chinese mythology, they were believed to grant immortality and their tears turned to pearls. And in 1001 Nights, Scheherazade described them as beautiful people who had families with ordinary people, and those children could go on to live their lives as they wished on the land or the sea. The most famous mermaid tale, hands down, has to be The Little Mermaid. However, it's been greatly Disneyfied, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I adore Ariel. I'll fight for my girl. But I also love the original version by Hans Christian Andersen. It's much, much sadder though. In this version, the Little Mermaid doesn't have a name. She's the youngest of 6. Her mother is still dead. However, in this story, on a mermaid's 15th birthday, she is allowed to explore the surface. This is when the Little Mermaid discovers the party on the boat, then the storm hits and she saves the drowning prince. However, but he never sees her. He awakens near a temple and another group of girls stumbles upon him, and he believes one of them saved him. The Little Mermaid, still desperate, goes to the Sea Witch. She's warned that if she turns human, it's a risky endeavor. In Hans's story, mermaids don't have souls the way humans do. Humans have short lives, then they die and go to heaven. Mermaids live for 300 years, then turn to sea foam, their lives over. If she takes the witch's potion, she has until the morning the prince marries, or she'll die. She agrees, giving up her tongue to the witch, and swims to the shore where she pours the potion on her legs. She's found naked on the beach by the prince, and he's obviously enamored because Yeah, it's a naked girl. But he takes her in, and they become friends. But an important note here is that every step for her is agony. It's described as walking on knives. She's basically living in chronic pain. Perhaps one of the reasons I relate to her so much. Despite the pain, she tries every effort to win his affection. She dances for him. She goes on every outing with him. She's his favorite companion, but he doesn't love her. So his parents want an arranged marriage. He doesn't. Long story short, he finds out the girl that they want him to marry is the same girl from the temple. It's insta-love. They want a quick wedding. Like Las Vegas drive-through quick. The Little Mermaid is obviously heartbroken, but she attends the wedding of her best friend, knowing her fate is sealed. In the late hours of the night, when morning is dangerously close, the Little Mermaid's sisters arrive at the boat. They give her a dagger and tell her they visited the witch and she doesn't have to die. She can turn back into a mermaid if she kills the prince and drips his blood on her feet. Little Mermaid, but most fairy tales are. She sees him lying happily in bed with his new wife and just can't find it in herself to ruin that. She throws the dagger into the water and as the sun rises, throws herself into the waves, turning into foam as she hits the water. However, she doesn't die. She becomes an air spirit. She finds others like her and is told that while they cannot gain a soul upon death, that because of their selflessness in life, they have a chance to earn it in death. They live out their 300 years of life as air spirits, continuing to do good, and it will gain them a soul at the end of it all. I always loved the original story of The Little Mermaid. Mind you, this is extremely condensed, and I recommend reading the full story. It's got a lot more nuance to it. I love melancholy tales, but also because she struggled with so many choices and making the right ones. But I think the biggest choice was at the end. She realized she'd given up her life and her home for someone who didn't love her. And her whole life was gone. She had to decide if it was worth it to kill him to get back to her family. Ultimately, she made what I believe was the right choice in the end, because it was her choices that got her there in the first place. But to be her family must have been agonizing. I love how heartbreaking this story is, but when it comes to a good time, I prefer the Disney version. Now, mermaids fit into almost two categories. I'd say they're mostly myth, but in modern times, they're also sort of an urban legend. Mermaid sightings are usually some kind of deep fake or somebody's friend obviously dressed in a mermaid tail contacts, Party City wig, out in the water, taking pictures, acting like it's some kind of candid thing. There are some interesting sightings, which people say are evident. There is this, which is a still from an old documentary, which something is spotted in the water. I've linked it in the description. It's only about 2 minutes long. This clip is toward the very end. There's also this from these deep sea hunter guys. And I'm highly wary about the reliability of this as well as the last one. The last one I don't have a clip up because it's just so fast and the quality is awful. It's from about 10 years ago and says it's from a deep sea oil tanker in Russia, I believe. Also, to me, the entire thing seems fake. It looks 3D rendered, but yeah, I mean, judge for yourselves. I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer, but yeah, if somebody gives me like reliable sightings, then yeah, I'll believe it. But so far, they've just not seemed very reliable. Considering how much of the ocean we haven't explored, who knows what is waiting for us down in those depths. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am trying something new with the series format. There are just certain stories that can't be told in a single video, like some Greek myths, Arthurian legends, and I'd love to do short series formats like this in the future. So let me know if you enjoyed the format. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to let me know in the comments what myth, legend, or folklore you would like me to cover next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.